What's up guys, Billy here, and today I wanted to make a quick video highlighting the similarities and differences between the Mavic Pro's included remote controller and the Sparx add-on remote controller. Before I start, I just want to clear up a question that I've been getting a lot in the comments section on my videos. The Mavic Pro's remote cannot be used to control the Sparx and vice versa. They are both very different despite their similarities. I wish it could be used for each drone, but again, they are made separately for their own device. To kick things off, let's talk about similarities. The general shape is basically the same, with the antennas, joysticks, and mobile device slot being in the same places. Both also fold up for easy carrying when you're on the go. Some of the buttons have changed around, but there is also a good handful that have stayed in the same location. For instance, the power button is still in the top right corner, the return to home button is still in the top left corner, and the pause button is in the same general area. Internally, we are dealing with the same size battery coming in at 2,970 mAh. Regardless of which drone you have, I would always recommend having a charger nearby as they die pretty quickly. Turning to the top side of the remotes, the record and shutter buttons are in the same locations, just where your fingers will typically rest. Just below the record button is a wheel that allows you to tilt the gimbal upwards and downwards, but on the Spark, we get a black finish instead of a silver finish. As far as the differences are concerned, I guess the first is one that I already said. The Mavic Pro's remote controller is included with the $1,000 price tag, while the Sparx remote controller is an accessory that you can purchase for an extra $150. The most noticeable difference is the removal of the LCD screen in the middle of the remote. This shows vital flight data but was removed from the Sparx remote and replaced by a glossy DJI logo. In place of this screen is a few small LEDs. On the right is a battery indicator allowing us to see how much juice that we have left, and on the left side is a single light that allows us to see the status of our Wi-Fi connection. Red means that we are not connected, while green means we are good to go. Speaking of Wi-Fi connection, this leads me right into the next difference that you may not notice just by looking at these two remotes. To connect our mobile device to the Mavic's remote, we would simply use the small cord that was included in the box that plugs directly into the left side of the remote. Now with the Spark, we can connect to the remote wirelessly via the Wi-Fi signal that it emits. While we're on the topic of ports, the USB port on the bottom of the Mavic's controller has been turned into a micro USB port for charging. The USB port was used to plug your mobile device into the remote for viewing purposes, but is not needed with the Spark as you can connect via Wi-Fi. On the right side of the Mavic's controller is the Sport Mode switch, which easily allows you to toggle between Standard and Sport Mode. For the Spark, this has been moved to the front right in the middle where the LCD screen used to be. Just next to the Sport Mode switch on the Spark is a button that has FN written on it. This is used as a customizable button, so you can map this to do plenty of different predefined actions. On the Mavic controller, we have a similar button that you could program to do different actions, but this is a directional button. By this, I mean you can push it in 4 different directions: up, down, left, and right. Each of these directions would act as its own individual button. Turning to the top side of the remote, it looks fairly similar except for the area underneath of the shutter button. On the Sparx remote, we have another customizable button, while on the Mavic's controller, we have a wheel that is used to change shutter speed and ISO on the fly. Flipping to the back of each remote, we see one big difference. The Mavic Pro has 2 customizable buttons, the C1 and C2 button, that could be mapped to do a predefined action. The Spark, on the other hand, lacks these buttons, giving us a very bare look. This means that the Spark has a total of 2 customizable buttons, while the Mavic has 7. That's a big difference. Finally, for some of the smaller cosmetic details I was able to spot. The ring around the joysticks has changed colors. For some reason, I prefer the Mavic's. It just kind of has a more premium look. On the top side of the remote, the large silver grill on the Mavic's remote has been turned into smaller holes on the Sparx remote. On the Mavic's remote, there is a thin rubber grip where your hands are placed along the sides. The Sparx remote is all plastic. The gimbal wheel not only has changed colors, but also has a different grip to it. The Sparx is a bit more slippery, while I find it easier to get a hold of the Mavic's. The vents inside of the smartphone holder are slimmer on the Sparx remote, but I'm not sure that this will affect the airflow. The final difference I was able to spot is the actual startup sound. Here, have a listen. Anyway, that about does it for this comparison of the Sparx remote to the Mavic's remote. Honestly, there are a lot more differences than I expected. I mean, they basically look the same, but both have very different functionality. So guys, be sure to leave a like if you liked and subscribe if you are new around here, as I will be posting plenty of videos on the Spark. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.